The truth about the Mets was just revealed. Well, the Mets' spiral is continuing, with the team having dropped the first 3 games of their 4-game set versus the Phillies in Philadelphia. The wildcard standings are getting tighter and tighter. What's going on with this team? I'm Adam Choate, your host for today here on Mets Digest. And before we dig in and all that, I just want to give you guys a quick heads up, a quick reminder to please subscribe. Because as you can see, nearly 68% of you guys watching these videos are not subscribed. So please take a quick second to do that. It is appreciated for sure. Thank you. Let's dive into it. So the Mets are in the middle of a tailspin, a spiral. They're playing right now versus the Phillies. It's 4-4 in the bottom of the 6th as I record this video. What a mess. What a mess. What a mess this team is. They appear to be a broken team. They look like a broken team just watching them and just reading the quotes and just seeing some of the faces in some of these post-game interviews lately. Let's dive into it. This is pretty much up to the second right here. These are the standings, as you can see in the East. It's pretty much out of reach at this point. The Mets are now double digits back of the Phillies, 10 games out. Like I said, 4-4 bottom of the 6th right now as I record this video. These are the wild card standings right here. It is tightening and tightening each day. It seems like the Giants and Reds are just 2 games behind the Mets for that final wild card spot, with the Mets clinging to it. You see that 5-game loss for the Mets. It has certainly been a struggle. Let's dig into this story that came out here on SI.com. I want to share this here. The math says the New York Mets are still in a strong position to make the postseason, but anyone who has watched them play since the beginning of June would have a hard time believing the Mets are a playoff team. Last night's loss to the Philadelphia Phillies was the Mets' 5th in a row and 6th in 7 games, seeing their playoff odds drop from almost 96% at this time last week to a shade under 84% entering today. That's Mark Phillips from SNY. Playoff odds are an interesting thing because you can see one day it's 98% and the next day it drops to 92%. So it in some ways that stat is kind of meaningless because it can change so quickly. So you can feel good one day and then in 3-4 days your percentages of making the playoffs drop significantly if you're looking at the perspective from that Mets perspective, of course, as they continue to lose games. The turning point in the Mets schedule is clearly June 13th. That day, Kodai Senga first went on the injured list with a strained hamstring. The Mets entered a weekend series with the Tampa Bay Rays, holding Rays a season-high 21 games above 500 and holding a 5.5-game lead in the NL East, but now are only 6 above 500 and have lost 15 games in the standings to the Phillies in 3 months. Wow, that seems like so long ago at this point. 21 games over the 500 the Mets were at this point. What was the pace at that point? They were on a 100-plus win pace at that point. So pretty sad to see how the season has turned out, and very surprising for a team with a huge payroll that they've been struggling to even stay above 500 at this point in the season. The most egregious miss remains. I want to get a little bit into what are some of the causes for their recent struggles. Who's to blame? What's to blame? And this was dug into by Mark Phillips on this SI piece right here really well. I definitely recommend everyone check out his piece. He really dives into it by each section of the team, so to speak: players, coaches, management, and all of that. But I figured I'd dive into a little bit of some of the things that came out from that piece. The most egregious miss, referring to David Stearns, is part of the potential blame for this season's struggles. The most egregious miss remains signing Frankie Montas, who missed most of the first half due to injury. He pitched with 6.28 ERA in 9 appearances. The decision to convert Clay Holmes to the rotation looked like a genius call early on, but he has clearly hit a wall and has been much less effective in the second half. Neither of those 2 players are the sole reasons, the only two reasons why the Mets have gone into a tailspin spiral since June 13th, which has really been they've been a bottom 5 team. We'll dig into that momentarily too as well. But just a couple of dings on David Stearns' resume, and those are again causes for reasons for some of the failures for this year. Certainly. This is Mark Phillips, digging to some of the player failures in addition to those 2. There's also been plenty of underperformance from players with track records, including 2 of Stearns' big trade deadline acquisitions in Mullins and Helsley. which has short-circuited the team's plans to fill their roster holes. The biggest issue has been a lack of consistency from the Mets starting pitchers, particularly Manaea, 1-3 with a 5.76 ERA in 11 appearances, including 10 starts, and Senga, 0-3 with a 6.56 ERA in the second half starts before accepting in 8 second half starts before accepting an optional assignment to AAA Syracuse to work on his mechanics. These players mentioned here, that's not on Stearns. Manaea and Senga and Helsley and Mullins. No one could have foreseen Helsley being a total opposite of what he was in St. Louis, a dominant pitcher, and he comes to the Mets and he just can't get anybody out tipping his pitches. Whatever the issue may be, he's been a disaster, and as really has Mullins as well, which is also somewhat shocking. If you look at his career averages, he's way below that, giving you somewhat Tyrone Taylor-like offense for the team, which is a huge disappointment when one was hoping that Cedric Mullins would be an upgrade over Taylor in the outfield as far as his bat. As you can see, there is no one clear point of failure for the 25 Mets. Performance over the past 3 months, Stearns, Mendoza, and the players, along with some really bad injury luck, have all contributed to the Mets' status as one of the 5 worst teams in baseball over the past 3 months. Yeah, it's been a mess. In that piece by Mark Phillips, he does dig into a little bit of the, some of the in-game moves by Mendoza, some of the roster shifting around, his utilization of the roster and lineups and things like that. But again, not one aspect of the team is the specific problem and the reason they are losing. They've been losing as a team. There's plenty of blame to go around, and that's part of the problem. There is not one easy fix for this team. If this one player would play better, everything would be great. There's been games where the team has struggled to get those clutch hits. There's been games where the team's offense has exploded and the pitching has not been able to hold up their end of the bargain, be it starters or late in games. This Mets team has just too often this year found reasons to lose games instead of win them. This is also from that piece last night. This piece from Mark Phillips entering last night. The Mets had gone 31-45 since June 13th, which was the 4th worst record in the majors since that day. The other teams with the worst record since that date are all second division clubs, making the Mets' poor performance extremely alarming for a team with one of the highest payrolls in baseball. That's what's alarming. When you have such a high payroll, you expect to almost be able to pencil in 85, 90 wins, just from having the talent that the Mets do alone. So definitely alarming for sure. This is Clay Holmes, was asked why he thinks things haven't come together for the Mets consistently given the talent on the roster. I don't know. That's a tough question. I think if we had a few more answers, maybe we wouldn't be in this position. And this is a screen capture from a video, and I think I captured at that a good time, because really this was kind of his expression throughout the interview and the conversation. And it's been sort of this look that a lot of the Mets have had where they're just looked down, the body language is bad. They've actually fallen behind now 5-4 to the Phillies as I record this, continuing to search for answers. Carlos Mendoza was asked if he thinks the Mets are demoralized at this point. No, they know where we're at. That's one thing with these guys. They're not going to give up. What else is he going to say at this point? He's got to continue to stay positive, of course, as the manager of the team. The Mets have been outscored 21-6 by the Phillies in the first 3 games of the series. They're now down 5-4, so you can add another a negative ledger in that regard to the run differential. Mets losing streak hits 5 as they drop first 3 to the Phillies, as you can see based on this image. Just not great times. They had that one really horrendous series against Pittsburgh earlier this year. That was almost an epic disaster in terms of run differential. And this series is certainly approaching that, and in some regard is an even worse, more demoralizing series, just given the time of the year this is taking place, in September as we head down the stretch run. Not the time when you want to be getting dominated by your division rival. That's for sure. This is Wardy from last night. Mets lose 11-3, 5 straight losses, 3 straight in Phillies. 10 games below 500 since mid-July. The Mets are free-falling. Sad times for the Mets. They also made some roster moves today, recalling Brazaban and optioning Hangerman and optioning Suero as well. Transactions, but I don't think any of these are going to move the needle too much in either direction for the team. But hopefully they can come back in this game and remember what it's like to win games and get back in the W column. That would be nice. But what do you guys think? Can the Mets hold on for life, for dear life, and squeeze out the final wild card this season? Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, do all the things, and let's go Mets.